In today's video, we're covering the backgrounds of the elite and exclusive members of this club that have achieved a national championship at the college level, a Super Bowl victory in the National Football League, and they've won the coveted Heisman Trophy. So if you like this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you'll never miss an episode of College Football Legends. Tony Dorsett. He is the founding member of this elite and exclusive fraternity, with his outstanding play at the high school, college, and at the pro level. Tony Dorsett grew up in the blue-collar town of Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, known for its contributions to the steel industry. In addition, Aliquippa has produced NFL legends and Hall of Famers such as Mike Ditka, Ty Law, and Darrelle Revis. At Hopewell High School, Tony Dorsett was considered too small to make an impact on the varsity football team. After his sophomore year, he moved from cornerback to the halfback position, where he went on to have consecutive 1,000-yard rushing campaigns during his junior and senior year. His ability caught the attention of legendary coach Johnny Majors of Pitt University. During his time with the Pittsburgh Panthers, he rushed for 1,500 yards as a freshman, and during his senior year, he rushed for over 2,100 yards, leading his team to a national championship and winning the Heisman Trophy as the nation's most outstanding player. As the second overall pick in the first round of the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys selected Tony Dorsett, and he posted 12 seasons in the National Football League, with his most productive season where he rushed for 1,600 yards in 1981. In Super Bowl XII, the Dallas Cowboys defeated the Denver Broncos 27-10, where Dorsett ran for 66 yards and a touchdown. After his retirement in 1988, his jersey number 33 was retired by his high school of Hopewell, and at the University of Pittsburgh. He's also a member of the College Football and Pro Football Hall of Fame. Marcus Allen became the second member of this elite club, and he continued a tradition of outstanding USC Trojan running backs. His career, he emerged as a quarterback and safety at Abraham Lincoln High School in San Diego, California. Back in those days, there was no Max Preps or Rivals.com, and most elite players hailed from the Midwest, Southeast, or Northeastern United States. So it's very easy for elite talent on the West Coast to be overlooked. That was until Marcus Allen notched 195 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, and an interception for a touchdown on defense in the city title game. This performance in the city championship game caught the attention of coaches at the University of Southern California, where he was the top recruit amongst future Hall of Famers Anthony Munoz and Ronnie Lott. Marcus Allen was a backup to Heisman Trophy winner Charles White, where the Trojans won the national championship in 1978. Eventually, he became the Trojans' top running back, and during his senior year, he rushed for a mind-blowing 2,300 yards, and his individual efforts won him the Heisman Trophy and a host of other accolades during that season. Marcus Allen was drafted 10th overall in the first round of the NFL draft by the Los Angeles Raiders, where he made an immediate impact to his team. Allen is credited with one of the most impressive Super Bowl performances amongst this group in this discussion, while rushing for 191 yards and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl XVII. Over the span of 16 seasons with the Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs, he was a 6-time Pro Bowler, League MVP, and he was also named to the College and Pro Football Hall of Fame. Our next entry in this discussion is a player that may not exactly stand out in the stat sheet compared to his peers. However, he is the first defensive player to win the coveted Heisman Trophy. Charles Woodson is a native of Fremont, Ohio, and he stood out as one of the top running backs in the state of Ohio, rushing for over 2,000 yards, and he was named the state's Player of the Year, which garnered attention from every major program in the country. Despite the pressure to attend in-state powerhouse Ohio State, Charles Woodson chose to play for the University of Michigan, where he dreamed for suiting up for the Wolverines since his days as a youth in the Pop Warner Leagues. Charles Woodson's impact at the Michigan Wolverines was instant, where he started 34 consecutive games, and he contributed on offense, defense, and special teams. In his junior campaign, he led the Michigan Wolverines to an undefeated season, capping off with a Rose Bowl victory against the Washington State Cougars, winning the national championship. Against their hated rivals, the Ohio State Buckeyes, Charles Woodson put on the best individual performances in recent history, with a punt return for a touchdown, an interception, and a 37-yard receiving touchdown. His play on both sides of the ball, including special teams, garnered him multiple awards, including the Heisman Trophy. Drafted in the first round by the Oakland Raiders, Charles Woodson went on to have the longest-standing career amongst this exclusive fraternity. Over the course of 18 seasons, Charles Woodson was a 9-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and he helped the Green Bay Packers defeat the Steelers in Super Bowl 45. With a career total of 65 interceptions and 11 defensive touchdowns, he stands amongst one of the greatest defensive backs of all times. The next player in this particular discussion is considered the most dynamic multi-purpose offensive player in the history of college football. Reggie Bush was considered the most dominant high school running backs in the modern era of prep level rankings, according to MaxPrepsAndRivals.com. During his junior season at Helix High School in San Diego, California, he amassed 3,100 all-purpose yards and 34 touchdowns. And despite injuries cutting short his senior year, he rushed for a mind-blowing 1,600 yards and 27 touchdowns. As one of the highest-rated offensive players from his class, Reggie Bush chose to continue his career with the USC Trojans. During his time at USC, he was a part of arguably one of the most dominant teams in the history of college football. During his sophomore campaign, he had 2,300 all-purpose yards, including a 52-yard passing touchdown. With a star-studded roster, including Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Matt Leinart, USC was crowned national champions for the 2004 season. Following such a dominant sophomore campaign, Reggie Bush led one of the most dynamic seasons in history for a running back, with 2,600 all-purpose yards, along with a multitude of postseason awards, including the prestigious Heisman Trophy. Despite his elite play that season, USC fell short to the Texas Longhorns in one of the most epic showdowns in national title game history. Reggie Bush was drafted in the first round by the New Orleans Saints, and he was joining a team that had a history of decades of heartbreaking seasons. Along with a community that was recovering from the devastating aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, early in his pro career, he struggled due to injuries, and a franchise that was in the midst of a major rebuild. However, in 2009, the Saints had the most improbable and magical seasons in history. The Saints defeated the Indianapolis Colts in dramatic fashion in Super Bowl 44, bringing home the Lombardi Trophy to a city that had suffered decades of disappointment. Overall, Reggie Bush's pro career is up for debate. Despite his accolades in college and an 11-year NFL career, some would argue that he mightily underachieved at the pro level. Our last entry into this countdown has recently joined this exclusive club in February of 2025. In a game where physical measurables separate future Hall of Famers from the undrafted free agents, this particular player you would notice as an elite receiver if you saw him in street clothes. However, despite his slim physical stature, he's become one of the most dominant wide receivers in college football and has a promising professional career. Before we dive into Devonta Smith's career, let's go back to December of 2016. A young Smith sat on the turf of the Louisiana Superdome heartbroken as Amite High School lost the state title to the defending champs in Luther High School. In heartbreaking fashion, despite putting on a dynamic individual performance with 111 yards receiving, a 93-yard kick return for a touchdown, and an interception on defense. Despite Devonta Smith's 165-pound frame, he earned attention from every major program in the country, including the Alabama Crimson Tide. Upon joining Alabama, he walked into a wide receiver room with elite talents such as Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, and Jerry Jeudy. During his freshman campaign, it was quiet by many standards. Yet, in the 2018 National Championship game against the University of Georgia, star quarterback Jalen Hurts struggled mightily in that game, and he was benched at halftime in favor of phenom Tua Tagovailoa. Despite Jalen Hurts leading the Crimson Tide to the National Championship game, he was forced to watch the remainder of that game from the sidelines, which is a pivotal moment in his personal career. Tua Tagovailoa ignited the Crimson Tide offense, and he forced overtime with a late fourth quarter rally. After an ill-advised play in overtime that led to a costly sack that found Alabama in a tough second down and 26 situation. There are not too many plays drawn up to gain 26 yards in that situation. However, Tua took the snap, he rolled out to his left, evading the Georgia pass rush, and he launched the ball deep, and he found Devonta Smith dipping in the end zone for a walk-off touchdown and one of the most mind-blowing finishes in the history of the national championship game. A star was born in Tua Tagovailoa, and insanely enough, that was the only catch Devonta Smith had the entire game, and he only amassed 8 catches that entire season. Devonta Smith was able to build off of that dramatic touchdown reception in the national championship game, and he developed into a solid wide receiver, improving each year going into his senior campaign. However, there was only one problem. Devonta Smith's senior year was overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic, which could have potentially canceled the 2020 season. A few conferences delayed their seasons, and others canceled football altogether that year. Players also had the option to opt out without losing a year of eligibility. The Southeastern Conference elected to play that season with virtually no fans in attendance. In addition, they chose to play an all-conference schedule, which eliminated FCS or Group of 5 opponents that teams would usually use as a tune-up game and for individual players to pad their statistics. For a wide receiver, this could be deadly to their stat sheet. However, despite the chaos that COVID brought to this country, Devonta Smith went off. He and quarterback Matt Jones were dominant as Alabama went undefeated in an all-SEC schedule. Smith had amassed over 1,800 yards and 23 touchdowns, and he was awarded the Fred Biletnikoff Award along with the prestigious Heisman Trophy, which is rare for a wide receiver. In the title game, the Alabama Crimson Tide obliterated the Ohio State Buckeyes. and Devonta Smith shredded the OSU secondary, and the only thing that actually slowed him down was a minor ankle injury. And he was named MVP for that particular game with 215 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. A player with Devonta Smith's slim physical stature, some experts predicted that he would struggle in the National Football League. However, to date, he is one of quarterback Jalen Hurts' most reliable targets for the Philadelphia Eagle offense, and he's averaged 1,000 yards receiving in each of his seasons. The Eagles in Super Bowl 59 were massive underdogs against an emerging dynasty in the Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen Hurts, along with a dominant performance by the Philadelphia Eagle defense, destroyed the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22. Devonta Smith led the team in receiving, including a 46-yard touchdown. In the same stadium, he suffered that heartbreaking loss in the high school's title game 7 years prior. Devonta Smith is the only active player in this list, and he has a promising career. However, his story is still being written, and hopefully he has success for years to come. Well, that's it for today's video, and I want to thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video just as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Let's continue this discussion in the comments section. Who do you think at the high school, pro, or college level has the potential to join this elite and exclusive club? And of course, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. If there's any future topics you'd like me to discuss, or any players you'd like me to cover, please leave your thoughts in the comments section as well. And remember, please be sure to like and subscribe, so you'll never miss an episode of College Football Legends. Until next time.